Ah, Hi YouTube. This is Robert Freed here. I would like to do a little response to an atheist YouTuber named Shannon Q. She's a very polite woman, part of the great debate community, and she's talked to Max on and off a few occasions, and they were polite, although there was a controversy between Max and her a little while back that I think is best left undisclosed here, at least for now. So, but anyway, I'd like to respond to her video titled "Why I'm an Atheist Advocate." I won't. I just kind of want to add my commentary to it. So we shall begin here. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about atheist advocacy. That's right. I'm an atheist. And guess what? It's okay.
Oh, things being dumb. Hold on. There we go. Gosh, I need to. I'm so technologically illiterate. But let's start that over again.
Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about atheist advocacy. That's right. I'm an atheist. And guess
Congratulations, Shannon.
what? It's okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Q. And there was a time not long ago when I sat in rooms alone on the other side of the screen that were I was hesitant to profess to my views on belief in any form or in any context because I was concerned about the stigmatization that I may face by even admitting that atheism was a component of what makes up me. I struggled for a long time with the why that surrounded that feeling.
That's awful, and we all struggle. But I don't condone any kind of mistreatment you have had. So
It shouldn't have been rational. I just didn't believe in God. It isn't a complex or uncommon position to hold. I came by it via honest assessment, research, and careful introspection. So why did
I believe you.
I feel that being an atheist somehow segregated me? So I set out to prove that intuition wrong by seeking out dialogue with people of all religious affiliations as an open and professed atheist. And
That's actually as you should do. In my personal experience, Shannon, there's too many atheists who are really aggressive about their atheism. They don't seek to understand why religious people think why religious people think the way they do. They don't seek to understand religion. So I think that's good on your part to always try to get into that psychological aspect of it, which I understand is your expertise, as my expertise is history and cultural anthropology. So we'll continue.
I encountered some anomalous things that gave me motivation and desire to add my voice to the others I found solidarity with through YouTube when I had felt the most isolated because of my atheism. So here we are. And now I'd like to take a minute to talk about mercy. I've been asked on numerous occasions by a multitude of people why I made the choice to become an advocate for atheists. Before I get into why I have, I think it's useful to hear some of the feedback that I've.
And I could get into why I became an advocate for religion and people of faith, so to say, if you wish. It's an interesting story or journey in my yeah, it's an interesting journey. So
Received through the interactions I'd sought, because they are intrinsic to illuminating my motives. I've had people say, "But you seem reasonable. Why do you want to affiliate yourself with them? You seem smart or kind, insert platitude. Why would you want to affiliate yourself with that?" And while I just slip into the tendency to just
the thing of it is, Shannon, a lot of Christians, when it comes to these kind of thing, statements and whatnot that you receive, I feel that a lot of Christians and people of religion and faith, they get a lot of the same kind of treatment, at least on that level. They get asked, like, say, if they're a Christian and they're really intelligent, they get asked, "Oh, why are you a Christian when you're so rational?" and that kind of stuff. So, I think the street goes two goes two yeah the street goes two different ways here, or yeah. the Actually, what I should say, the street goes the same way. That's what I mean. Jeez. My mind is doing two things at once.
accept the individual commentary on how I'm perceived, let it satiate my ego, and say thank you.
Good. Let the darkness flow through you.
Speaks towards something bigger, and I just can't simply let that stand. I am an atheist. I am not tying myself to atheists by existing in my honest state. I am one. Any disparaging judgment levied against atheists, even when prefaced by a statement that allows me an exemption by virtue of my character, is extended over me by definition. I saw this as a manifestation of the juxtaposition between what someone perceives an atheist to be and what they actually encounter, what we actually are. I was seeing an external echo of the dissonance someone feels when the expectations of their biases aren't met and they want to find a way to separate you from everyone like you so they can continue having without any challenge.
As I previously stated, I've seen many atheists do this same kind of spiel too, where they have preconceptions about, Christians and people of faith, and turns out that those preconceptions are wrong. And then they fall back, hopefully, or they should anyway.
But that's the thing. I'm not an anomaly. I am representative of the norm. Through this endeavor, I have met an inordinate number of diverse and amazing people. People who just so happen to be atheists too. While their opinions and perspectives on many facets of life and interactions vary in vast and wonderful ways, I saw commonalities through that diversity that compelled me to do more. Aside from the very literal risks that come along with being an open atheist, losing family, friends, community, and jobs, grappling with
I want to say that, if this has happened to any atheist or any secular humanist, it's certainly not condoned by people like me. I certainly don't condone that kind of stuff, but yeah, we'll just go on from there.
with new perspectives, relearning how to traverse the world, and in some parts of the world, losing your life. The list goes on.
Oh, it is true that in many countries you do get where atheists can be arrested for violating whatever so-called blasphemy laws that exist, and that's awful. It certainly is awful, and I don't condone that either. However, if we're going on kind of a global scale here, we have to kind of look at many countries like, for example, China. China represses religion, or at least keeps it highly under control. And certain religions, like Falun Gong, for example, are brutally repressed and persecuted. In North Korea, for example, North Korea is another regime too where Christianity faces horrendous persecution, and human rights experts estimate that somewhere between 65 to 70,000 Christians are interned in North Korea's deadly concentration camp system. So I think that, whenever I hear Christians who feel that Christianity is under attack or persecuted here in the United States, it certainly isn't true. And I would always point to them, a country like North Korea or China, where real religious persecution goes on, especially that of like Christians or such.
We all come out into an unwelcoming world, one where our mere interest in having conversations about faith, our perspectives, and how we came to our conclusions are met with disproportionate disdain and misconceptions of who we are, fueled by
On this, I'm willing to have a discussion and be more than happy not to have disproportionate disdain for you. I really do like talking to people of other faiths and different religions and non-religions.
the propagation of a conglomeration of caricatures of condescending, fedora-wearing, moral keyboard warriors who want to repress the religious.
Well, Shannon, in order to have like a better understanding on the kind of atheist misrepresentations there, you have to kind of go back to the 20th century. And for example, in the French Revolution as well. During the French Revolution, there was something known as the de-Christianization of France, where Christianity was violently eradicated from the new French Revolutionary Republic, and something known as the Cult of Reason was set up to replace French Catholicism in the country, and it resulted in really horrendous persecution and violent suppression of the clergy, and in one region in particular, because they had uprose to protect their faith and churches from the violence of the revolutionary government, it was brutally repressed to near genocidal levels in the Vendée region of France. So, and I have on my channel here, see if I can pull it up. Here it is. This is just one example of so many in the past, in the 20th century and present as well. The violent anti-religious purge of Buddhism in communist Mongolia. So it's an interesting documentary on the repression of Buddhism in the 1930s Mongolia under the Soviet-backed regime there, which supported anti-clericalism and militant atheism. So this is, I think, the problem with militant atheism as it is.
Our path towards finding solidarity and common...
Because militant atheists have always historically tried to repress religion. It doesn't mean that you are going to repress religion, certainly not, but we kind of have to keep the history in mind there when discussing these issues. Just like, ISIS, just like Muslims have to, when it comes to extremism or contemporary extremism, they have to keep in mind that ISIS many of the radical jihadist groups like ISIS do draw inspirations from much of the same sources that mainstream Muslims do, or same thing with the Christians too, and whatever bad branch they have, like the Westboro Baptist Church and whatnot.
Is ripe with those who would condemn and deride us for existing in a state that we had no choice in instantiating. On the contrary, most of us were entrenched in faith, and it slipped from us.
I believe that. I mean, you had many atheists who come from the Deep South, like Holte Dusty, who was, from the Deep South, and he switched from being a fundy Protestant Christian and militant to being a hardcore, aggressive, anti-theistic, militant atheist, and that's how he made his YouTube career, at least for that duration.
Without our permission, by way of simply questioning it honestly and knowing that the answers we tried to couldn't make sense to us anymore. And even more of us hold to the external trappings of a faith that we no longer believe, because we know that being as honest with the world as we have no choice but to be with ourselves is a risk so grave in so many aspects of our lives that always holding a lie inside of us somehow seems better. I didn't.
That depends on how you define a lie. Many Christians and people of faith would believe that you're living in a lie, because you choose not to believe in God, or whatever. You make that as you will, but that is very subjective. And
want to hide an intrinsic and integral part of myself anymore, because I fear the repercussions that came with those misrepresentations and pronouncements. I didn't want anyone else to have to either. I wanted to profess the message that it's okay to be us. We can release the stigma only by existing unapologetically in the open. Now, I know that there are still so many of us for which that cannot yet be a reality, for whom the cost is still too great, and I'm sorry it's not better yet. And I hope that by adding even just one more of us to the public discourse, it's another step towards shattering the biases people hold that keep so many of us hidden. We have become a community of necessity, despite having literally no other unifying traits. We've been united by the weight of the stigma people assign to us, because there is a reality that is really hard to face about our existence. You can be just fine without believing in God. You can be good and kind and virtuous, and even more concerning, you can have valid and justifiable reasons not to. Reasons that make sense. Reasons that are at least worth considering. Perhaps making us seem nefarious and dangerous is a way to make us less likely to be considered or.
I don't see you as nefarious or dangerous or any less reasonable. I do have a problem with many atheists who do try to be really aggressive, and some of them who argue that religion is a mental illness. I'm not saying you and your particular variant of atheists do that, but many in the past have, and many personally I have known have tried to argue that. And another problem too is that many of the atheists I see online really badly misrepresent history. For example, me, Injun, Mr. Brass, and everyone, and a few other people, or several other people, we did a response to Aaron Raw when he talked about quote unquote atheist states. And let me see if I can try to bring that up right now. Here it is. Red Pill Religions, Aaron Raw's atheist states. We responded to that. And basically what happened is that Aaron Raw made a video where he talked about how supposedly militant atheism didn't have anything to do with the religious persecutions of many of the anti-religious regimes of the past, like the French Revolutionary Government and the communist regimes, specifically the USSR. And we pointed out that no, it's not true. Also, what he tried to do was that he tried to say it wasn't that bad. He tried to say that you could practice your faith in the USSR, and all historical and academic data says no, it was pretty dangerous to be associated with religion during, for example, the Stalinist period. So, Stalinist period, yeah. That's something I don't think Aaron Raw gives a particularly good image of atheists like yourself when he's precipitating in that kind of revisionism. You could watch that video and see for yourself how badly he manipulates history and how much we have to kind of respond to him on that issue. So,
or maybe it's a misunderstanding about what atheism even means. But regardless, the negative impact of no longer being able to say, I believe, is real. I'm adding my voice in the hope that the more of us who have the ability and opportunity to demonstrate who we really are so that everyone can see, the better the chances one day none of us will have to be worried what might happen if we're just honest about what we believe, and the better chance that we can all have productive conversations regarding why.
and I hope to have those conversations too, Shannon. I really hope to, because I feel like we're at a point where it's no longer this one monopoly of atheists dominating YouTube and the internet at large. I think, there's much more. There's much more diversity in the non-religious debate. So, yeah, I hope to, learn more about your community, and I hope that you can learn more about our community, even if Max didn't exactly give the best first impressions anyway. So, yeah, that's the video there. And I'm sorry to my audience if I seem like I was stuttering and I made a lot of screw ups. See, I'm very technologically illiterate. So, yeah, I made a lot of screw ups and stuff, and the problem is too, I and a lot and I stutter a lot. So, I need to work on my speech and how I deliver. So, I figured that'd be a nice little respectful response to Shannon Q. I actually agreed with most of what she said, in that atheists shouldn't be treated like that. They shouldn't be treated like garbage because they're atheists. And no one should be treated no one should be treated like garbage because of who they are. But we have to kind of get. I do feel like she needs to kind of get. Well, let me rephrase that. I do feel like both much of the atheist community needs to get to the bottom as to why there's so much misunderstanding between the theist religious and atheist irreligious communities. So hopefully we can get to the bottom of that in the future. And that's about it. So like I said, I apologize for all the ums and ahs and stutters and my technological illiteracy. But this is Robert Freed, aka Comrade Dimitri Zajavouti. I forgot to say Zajavouti at the beginning, but because we're at the end of the video, das vidanya, comrades.